So, when I was in grad school to become a psychologist, a friend and a colleague of mine gave me some really great advice that I wanted to share with you today. At this point in my life, I considered myself a recovering perfectionist. I felt like I had done a lot of the work already on working with my perfectionism and all the stress and anxiety that caused me. And this friend of mine saw me for who I was, still struggling with that, with the feeling of not being good enough, with just wanting to feel like part of my identity was I had to come in and know all the things, right? That's where I mistakenly felt like I could fill my cup. And who was I fooling? It's not how you fill your cup. It's not how I actually filled my cup. It's not how I actually fill my cup today. And so this friend, basically what he told me was, look, Kit, nobody likes you because for trying to be right all the time. Nobody likes a person who thinks they're right all the time, or even if they are right all the time, nobody likes that because that's boring. He said that people like you when you're interesting, and people who mess up and are honest about that and vulnerable, they're interesting. People who are perfect are boring. Now, if you are a perfectionist and you're like, I will tell you, I did not take this feedback as criticism at the time. For me, it was such a big eye opening. It was like an aha moment. And so that's what I want to do for you today is give you the same or similar aha moment. I'm Kit Slies. I'm a psychologist and a life coach here to inspire perfectionists and anxious achievers to feel calm and confident while holding clear boundaries. So if you had a reaction to that feedback, and if you consider yourself a perfectionist, a recovering perfectionist, or an anxious achiever, I want to talk a little bit more about my aha moment and give you some other reasons why this why embracing your imperfection might serve you. So again, this aha moment for me, it was almost like it was a weight that was lifted because who doesn't want to be liked by everybody? Who doesn't want to be likable? And to hear that that's not what I was doing when I was showing up with, you know, I've got all the answers. Ooh, pick on me. Let me answer the question in all the classes, right? To hear that that isn't really, from a relational standpoint, it's not the most important quality. Now, from an academic standpoint, sure, that's a great quality to have, but it's also not everything. And in fact, I think another really important concept to help embrace this notion that being imperfect, making mistakes, not only makes you likable, but is a good thing in other ways, I want to point to this idea of the growth mindset. Carol Dweck is a researcher who's written on this, she and others. And the thing about a growth mindset is this notion that our current achievements and where we're at with our capabilities today don't predict where we might be tomorrow or the next day. And that really what is important with a growth mindset is embracing mistakes and embracing challenges and things that feel hard and seeing those as opportunities to learn and grow. Whereas with perfectionists, and I know for me with in the past with my perfectionism, it's really hard to embrace that. It can feel hard to feel like, oh, I'm going to go out and make mistakes and that's a good thing. But I really want to drive that home that so not only is being imperfect and making mistakes going to maybe endear you to other people, make you relatable to other people, because nobody is perfect. That if you feel like that you can really embrace making those mistakes and get excited about that, that might actually help you grow and be better in the ways that you want to be. And that takes hard work. It takes courage. It takes vulnerability to put yourself out there. And if you are still feeling like, oh, okay, this aha moment isn't enough, growth mindset, nope, not enough, I would just want to give you a couple of strategies to apply this in your life. So, one strategy is to make mistakes in low stakes settings. If the idea of making a mistake is heart wrenching for you and your heart is just pounding at the thought of that, pick some low stakes settings. I remember way back when I was labeled a perfectionist and realized the stress and anxiety that constant striving was giving me, my therapist at the time gave me an assignment, which was I was in a community college at the time, and she told me, hey, Kit, you need to get a B intentionally. And I was like, nope. But we talked about what the stakes were there and how if I did get a B, 1B really wouldn't have much of an impact on me and my goals. And so I was able to really make that my playground. And that, I think, is a helpful concept. This idea of a playground. Playgrounds are places where kids go out, they have fun, but they're also trying out new things, new ways of being with other people. They're learning, they're getting immediate feedback from their peers about, hey, that's not okay. We don't like that in this game, or that's not the rule that we set, and they're negotiating in that playground. And so think of like what can be your playground where you can make mistakes to have fun with it, but to also expose yourself to the discomfort that you might feel when you're getting that negative feedback, whether it's from other people or the internal, oh gosh, I did this thing, it didn't turn out well. Because allowing yourself to feel that discomfort in low stakes settings is what's going to allow you to feel more comfortable being vulnerable and your true imperfect self in other parts of your life, which is going to lead to less stress overall. Okay, so that's one strategy. Find your low stakes playgrounds where you can practice making mistakes and kind of build that muscle, feeling the discomfort of not actually being perfect. The other strategy that I've talked about before, but is relevant here, is using some kind of intentional self-compassion. And what that looks like is just, it could be a phrase that you have in your back pocket that you're ready to say to yourself when you're steeling yourself to be vulnerable and to open up with people or show that you're imperfect. If you're having a really hard time with that, usually what's happening with perfectionists and anxious achievers is that they're being pretty hard on themselves and they're using self-criticism as motivation. Oh my gosh, come on, you can do this. If you don't do this, what are you going to think about yourself? Aren't you a horrible person because you're not being perfect or achieving at some level at this point in time? Or whatever your inner critic, your self-criticism sounds like. The antidote to that and the way to embrace being imperfect is through self-compassion. And that might sound like, oh, okay, this is hard. So you want to acknowledge the discomfort that you're feeling, because that can deactivate it a little bit. Oh, this feels hard. Ouch, this is rough. And then some phrase of trying to be kind or gentle to yourself. Hey, this is hard, and in this moment, I'm just trying something new out, and I'm trying to be kind to myself in this moment. And I really like to use the phrasing, I'm trying, because you're not making a promise to yourself that you can't keep. You're not saying, I'm absolutely going to be kind to myself and let myself make these mistakes. You're just trying. You're trying. So you're even giving yourself the permission to make the mistake and be imperfect and being self-compassionate with yourself in that moment. So I hope that you maybe had an aha moment today, if you're a perfectionist or an anxious achiever, or if it wasn't an aha moment for you and you didn't like that notion of being perfect is boring, that you at least can understand how perfectionism creates more stress from you and you found some of these strategies useful today. So until next time, take care, and I hope that you can feel calm and confident and set clear boundaries for yourself. Bye for now.